Today we're talking about anime that takes place in a modern rural setting in Japan. Some context real quick. My brother-in-law asked me if there are any anime that takes place in a rural or countryside setting in Japan, and I could only think of one, which is unacceptable. This led me down a rabbit hole, so here we are. That's what we're going to be talking about today in this video. Heads up, this video is going to be long, so buckle up. Barakamon. This anime is about a famous calligrapher named Hanasaku, who is sent to go live on an island after knocking a veteran calligrapher the fuck out, after calling his award-winning piece, among other things, unoriginal. Something along the lines of the piece having certain strokes to curry favor with the judges. Something you would find in a high school competition. Seju is sent to go live on the Goto Islands for self-reflection and to, well, chill the fuck out. And long story short, with the intervention of the locals, not only does Seju find himself, but he finds his own unique art style. I love this anime. Look, it's a slice-of-life anime about a professional calligrapher. It won't be for everyone, but I still think it's worth checking out. The anime is funny, charming, and it's really a great anime to relax to. Just the shenanigans that are brought, it's a great anime in my opinion. Silver Spoon. Yugo Hachiken decides to enroll in Udon Agricultural High School, located in the Hokkaido countryside. He does this to basically escape the stress from his parents, as well as he is tired of trying to live up to expectations he couldn't possibly meet. At first, he thinks that he will do well, that agriculture couldn't be that hard, right? He soon finds out he was wrong, and that farming is harder than it looks. The genre of this anime is said to be comedy, but from what I remember, I feel it had more of a slice of life feeling. I mean, I think it does have comedic aspects, but it also has aspects of real world farming, like raising livestock and the inevitable end to that process. Also, raising crops, horses, training horses. If I remember right, it also has some stuff talking about dairy cows and the process of pasteurizing milk and all that, and just other day-to-day agricultural life. Dude, seriously? I like this anime, and I definitely think it's worth checking out. And hopefully this anime helps people appreciate farmers, especially small family farms, and all they do. No-Rin, a famous idol named Yusa Kusakabe, retires suddenly to the shock of the idol world. She then transfers under the name Ringo Kinoshita, unbeknownst to her classmates, except one student, Kosaku Hata, who just happens to be her biggest fan. Which, let's just say, Kosaku didn't take Ringo's retirement well, so she decides to transfer to Tamu Agriculture School for unknown reasons, and it doesn't take long for Ringo to learn the joys of farming with her new friends. This is another anime I really like, possibly even love. It's another farming anime, but this one has more of a comedy feel to it, at least I think. It definitely has ecchi adult joke themes throughout the whole thing. Look, I don't care what other people say. Sure, it can be crude and raunchy, whatnot, but it's awesome. And the fact that it doesn't hide away from what it is and instead embraces it, I think you have to respect that. So if you don't mind dirty jokes and whatnot, definitely check it out. Natsume's Book of Friends. Ever since he was a kid, Dagashi Natsume could see strange creatures called yokai. Because of this, he was bounced around from foster home to foster home because he was considered weird and sometimes even considered creepy. This left him isolated. That is until he accidentally broke a seal trapping Matteru, a cat spirit sealed in a shrine. Natsume inherited the Book of Friends from his grandmother Natsume. This book was a list of yokai names. With a yokai's true name, you hold power over that yokai. So naturally, several yokai wanted this book for themselves, including Matteru, whom Natsume calls Nyanko-sensei. Natsume made a deal with Nyanko-sensei that if he acted as Natsume's bodyguard, then when Natsume died, Nyanko-sensei could have the book. Again, this is another anime that I love. Big shocker. I've always been a big fan of monster, kaiju, and yokai movies, TV shows, books, manga, all of that. So naturally, I just love this anime. It starts off kind of sad, but it turns really funny and just really entertaining. I actually highly recommend this anime as well. Dagashi Kashi. The Shikata family has ran a sweet shop in the countryside for 9 generations by the name Shikata Dagashi. However, Kokonosu wants to be a manga artist, despite his father's pleas to take over the business next. Kokonosu adamantly refuses to inherit the family business. Then Haruo Shider, this bizarre, eccentric, Victorian goth-looking chick, shows up. She's looking for Kokonosu's father. She wants his father to work for her father's company, the Shider Corporation. That just so happens to make sweets. And in fact, they manufacture some of the world's most famous sweets. Matteru then tries to convince Kokonosu to take over the family shop. So begins Hotaru's mission to enlighten the boy on the true joys of delicious and nostalgic Dagashi. Look, this anime is kind of fucking weird. I mean, it's all about small, cheap candies and snacks. That's like $1 or less. But the anime is funny, and you get to learn about different candies and snacks and whatnot. Plus, if I remember right, it talks about like Japanese history and shops and whatnot. Basically, it's kind of like a Japanese history through a candy's eye. I really like this anime. It's just a nice one to chill to, but fair warning, I suggest you bring snacks to watch it. Shiki. In a small town of rural Japan named Soraba, once idyllic and unassuming, is then turned upside down by a series of bizarre deaths occurring. One being Megumi Shizumi, a young girl with dreams of escaping the town and making it big in the big city. The town doctor, Toshio Ozaki, begins to investigate these deaths and begins to suspect that something more sinister is afoot. Toshio then teams up with Natsuno Yuki and siblings Kohori and Akira Tanaka. This group then begins to unravel the mystery behind the town's sorrows, which may be of a supernatural occurrence. This anime will be good for horror fans if you haven't seen it already. Now, personally, I didn't really care for this anime. I don't think it's bad, it just wasn't for me. So that being said, if you're into horror and you haven't checked it out yet, maybe give it a thought. Mushi-Shi. Inko is a Mushi-Shi. A Mushi-Shi is someone who studies Mushi, which is the basic form of life. Simply put, it is being without purpose or goals. Fucking relatable. Inko travels from place to place investigating supernatural incidents and those affected by these supernatural creatures. He also helps them if he can. I know I said anime in a modern setting, but I couldn't help myself from adding this one. Plus, I kind of added it before this list was modern anime. Making a list, there were a bunch of anime that was like in the Edo period and whatnot. So the episodes can be a little dark, but it's really good all the same, and I think it's worth checking out. It's another one of those yokai shows, which obviously I really like, but it's more of a studying these creatures than the usual stuff. They're not good or bad, they're just there type of thing, which I think is kind of a unique perspective. Typically, you see a monster movie and the monster's automatically bad, but in this one, that's not the case. More of a case-by-case basis. Yeah, definitely think it's worth checking out. I really like it. There you go. Okko's Inn. After losing her parents in a tragic car accident, Mariko Seki, or known as Okko, goes to live with her strict but kind grandmother, who just happens to run a traditional inn in the countryside. There, Okko begins to train as a junior innkeeper, learning the ins and outs of hospitality, cooking, and customer care. However, Okko's new life becomes more unusual when she discovers she can see ghosts, particularly Oribo, a friendly spirit who used to be her grandmother's childhood friend. Okko continues to encounter more spirits and guests with emotional baggage. Each teaches her something about grief, empathy, and kindness. Despite her own trauma, she grows emotionally and spiritually as she embraces her new role, the inn. So I guess the episodes of this anime were shorts, roughly 15 minutes, I think, with 24 episodes. There's also a movie. I don't know if it's basically the same thing or connected in some way, like a continuation of one or the other, but it was released on Crunchyroll in 2018, and now it's not there, or at least not in my region, so I don't know. Flying Witch. Makoto is a witch in training. She has reached the part in her training where she must become independent, so she moves to the countryside to continue her training. She and her familiar Chito, a black cat, moves in with her second cousin Ki and his little sister Shinasu. Not only does she have to continue her training, but she also has to attend high school as well. This is a nice Iyashiki style slice of life anime. It's the type of anime that I put on in the background while I'm working on something or just chilling, really. I don't know, it's a really calming anime. It's pretty funny. I think it's worth watching, but Hanasaku Iroha. After Ohana's mother abandons her, running away from debt collectors with her new boyfriend, Ohana is sent to live with her grandmother, who runs a small inn. She tries to adjust to tranquil life in the countryside, as well as working as a maid in a very traditional inn. While trying to adjust to tranquil life, she also has to grow accustomed to the traditional inn, her strict grandmother, and going to school, and the tension brought upon by all those things. So this is another anime I haven't actually watched yet, but it has positive reviews, so probably a good one to check out. I'm going to later on. Poco's Udon World. Soto Tawara is a young web designer from Tokyo who decides to return to his hometown, Kigawa, following the death of his father. He also takes this time to take a break from the city. On his return, he sadly learns that the family restaurant has gone out of business during his absence. While reminiscing about his childhood, Soto walks into the closed-down restaurant and discovers a blonde-haired little boy wearing rags and sleeping in a cooking pot. Soto provides the boy with food and clothing. Then the boy suddenly sprouts ears on a tail. Soto is surprised to find out that the boy is actually a tanuki. Deciding to stay in town longer, Soto names the boy Poco. Together they explore daily life in the countryside, exploring local sites, meeting old friends and townfolk. Then eventually, Soto and Poco start making udon together in the restaurant. This anime looks adorable, and it kind of reminds me of Sweetness and Liking, the whole making food and going through daily life. I also highly recommend Sweetness and Lightning too, if it wasn't obvious. But yeah, Poco's Udon World looks adorable and definitely worth checking out, at least in my opinion. Non Biyori. Totoro Ichijo and her family moved to Ashihigooka village from Tokyo. There are no convenience stores, the bus takes 2 hours to arrive, and her new school only has 5 students, including her, combining each grade into one class. Hotaru finds herself captivated by the countryside, thanks to her 4 unique schoolmates. It's a slice of life about 5 kids in the countryside, so it's pretty funny, and what else is there to say? Sakura Quest. After graduating college, Yoshino Kohara moved to Tokyo in the pursuit of a more exciting life in Tokyo. However, her job search isn't going very well, to say in the least. That is until she gets a part-time job offer. The job is in a small agricultural town named Manoyama. The job, though, is Queen of the Kingdom of Chupacabra, a rundown mini attraction. But then it turns out she was mistaken for a celebrity, and the job offer was sent to her by mistake. Left without options, Yoshino agrees to take the job and aid the dying town. If I remember, it's about a person trying to save a town with what looks like to me is a museum of some kind. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but I thought it was alright, so check it out if you want, I guess. Laid back camp. Rin Shima's ideal vacation is camping, from pitching a tent to gathering firewood and everything in between. She prefers to do it all by herself. One day while camping at Mount Fuji, she comes across Nadeshiko Kogamihara. Nadeshiko fell asleep halfway up her hike of Mount Fuji. After learning about camping from Rin, Nadeshiko decides to join the Outdoor Activities Club, who explores various camping spots and outdoor activities. The anime shows the pros and cons of both solo camping and group camping. From what I've seen, this is a chill anime about camping, which I think is neat. I guess Japan saw a rise in camping popularity when this anime came out, which I always think it's neat to see how an anime coming out will affect the real world. Like some fishing anime saw a rise in fishing popularity. This one with the camping. I don't know. It's just a neat thing to see, really. But about this anime, I hear it's really good, so probably worth checking out. Waiting in the summer. One night after finding his grandfather's 8mm film camera, Kaito Kirishima decided to test the camera out. While he was filming, he saw a blue light shoot across the sky. As he tried to film it, he fell over and soon fell unconscious. The next morning, he woke up in his room with no memory of what happened or how he got home. Going to school like normal, he and his friends talk about making a movie over the summer break. They decide to include transfer student Ishika Tadasuke, whom may be more than she appears. So this is a romantic drama with like sci-fi elements. I don't remember much about this anime, but I hear it's alright, so Hokkaido girls are super adorable. Tsubasa Shiki just moved from Tokyo to Kitami, Hokkaido. The day before he was supposed to start at his new high school, he decided to explore the winter landscape. He quickly realized that the cold air was too much for him. As he tried to find his way to his new house, he ran into Minami Fuyoki. Wasting no time, Minami strikes up a conversation about this and that and how Tsubasa is from Tokyo. The next day, Tsubasa finds that Minami not only is in the same class as him, but sits in the seat right next to him. Tsubasa soon becomes captivated by both life in Hokkaido and Minami. I added this anime to the list because it says that Kitami does have rural components, plus it's in Hokkaido, which I thought was neat that it actually takes place in Hokkaido and not just visiting. So I guess that's why I added it. I don't know. To me, from what I remember, more of a city type anime, but I just threw it on here for the hell of it, I guess. I think it's a cute anime, and in my opinion, it is the best way to see snow on the TV. Oyashiman. Kariyasu Sawaki has the ability to see with the naked eye as well as communicate with microorganisms. He is a freshman at the Agricultural University in Tokyo. First, he is indifferent to his ability, but with help from the eccentric community around him, he begins to appreciate this ability. Kariyasu takes an interest in the world of fermentation and the roles of different microorganisms that produce sake, cheese, and other fermented foods. Yeah, I didn't know this anime existed either. I mean, it takes place on the outskirts of Tokyo, but I still figured it counts. Plus, I haven't seen it, so I added it. Super Cub. Koguma is a high school girl living alone in a teeny apartment in a small rural town. She has no family, friends, hobbies, or future plans. One day, she wanders into a scooter shop because she only has enough money to make ends meet, and seeing the price tags of these scooters, she starts to turn back. That is until the shop owner makes her an offer on a pre-owned Honda Super Cub for 10,000 yen. She happily accepts the offer, believing that the scooter will help brighten her world. Eventually, she meets Riko and Shi. Both of them end up getting cubs, and the three of them start riding around together. So it's an anime about a girl and her scooter and her two friends just riding around town, enjoying life, really. But yeah, it seems chill and could be fun to watch. A couple of honorable mentions just because, well, they're movies. And I was trying to keep this list anime that had seasons, at least one, obviously. So the movies are Wolf Children, which just depressed the hell out of me. And then My Name or Totoro, which I am pretty sure almost everyone has watched, but in case you haven't, here it is. If you notice, there's a pattern that most anime that takes place in a rural or countryside setting is either chill or is a horror anime. So, yeah, there you go. Now, obviously, I haven't talked about all anime out there that would fit into this category. That would take me at least a month to research and find and whatnot. And then the video would be at least 4 hours long after editing. And yeah, I'm not doing that. So here's a list of 19 anime that are set in a modern, rural, or countryside Japan. I will put both English and Japanese titles in the description for your guys' convenience. So with that, thank you for watching, and I hope to see everyone in the next one.